We say we want a partner who is a rock, a foundation, a predictable, sturdy monument in the shifting sands of a chaotic world. We crave the safety of knowing exactly where he is, exactly what he thinks, and exactly how he will respond when we speak. But there is a tragedy in this architecture, because the moment a man becomes a monument, he ceases to be a person. He becomes part of the furniture. We polish him, we dust him, we position him in the corner of our lives where he fits most comfortably, and then we complain that there is no fire. We wonder why the air in the room feels so thin. You see, the modern woman has been taught that to love is to know, to love is to improve, to love is to care, until there is nothing left of the man but a well-groomed reflection of her own expectations. We create a sanctuary of absolute certainty. We turn our homes into a soft padded cell of domesticity, and then we are shocked when he feels like a prisoner. We think we are giving him a home, but we are often giving him a coffin. What is the one thing a man needs most? It is not your praise, it is not your help, it is not even your support, that word we use to mask our desire to manage. The thing he needs most is his sovereignty. He needs to be a separate entity. He needs to be a him before he is a we. He needs to feel that he is the master of his own internal landscape, that he is a stranger you are still discovering rather than a project you have already finished. But sovereignty is terrifying to the heart that seeks security. Sovereignty means he could leave. Sovereignty means he has a part of himself that does not belong to you. And so, without realizing it, you begin to dismantle it. You check in, you suggest, you remind, you bridge the gap between you until there is no gap left. You collapse the distance. You think you are getting closer, but you're actually just suffocating the space where desire lives. Because desire, true visceral erotic aliveness, requires a bridge. And you cannot walk across a bridge if there is no water between the two shores. By destroying his sovereignty, you destroy the very thing that made you want him in the first place. You traded the lion for a rug, and now you wonder why the house feels so quiet. Why do we do this? Why do we kill the thing we crave? Because we are afraid. We are afraid that if he is truly free, he will choose something else. We are afraid that if he is not needed, we will become irrelevant. We confuse being needed with being loved. But let me ask you, do you want a man who stays because he is paralyzed by your care? Or do you want a man who stays because he is captivated by your mystery? We have built an altar to certainty, and on that altar we have sacrificed the man. We have traded the storm for the thermostat. We have exchanged the thrill of the unknown for the comfort of the well-behaved. But the soul does not want to be well-behaved. The soul wants to be seen, not managed, not handled, but seen. And to see a man, you must first stop trying to fix him. You must step back. You must allow the shadows to return to the room. You must allow him the dignity of his own mistakes, the power of his own silence, and the terrifying beauty of his own wildness. We are unmasking the domestic colonizer today, the part of the feminine psyche that seeks to civilize the very thing she fell in love with for being untamed. Listen closely. The silence you hear in your relationship isn't the absence of conflict. It is the sound of a man who has gone quiet because there is no longer any room for his voice in the house you've built for him. It is time to look at the dance of the caretaker. It is time to see the cage for what it is. Are you ready to stop being his manager and start being his lover again? Are you ready to trade the safety of the monument for the danger of the living? Watch the dance. It is subtle, it is rhythmic, it is polite. She enters the room and sees him, but she does not see him. She sees a list of unfinished potential. She sees the way he wears his shirt, the one she doesn't like. She sees the way he sits, too passive, too still. She sees the dishes he forgot, or the email he should have sent. And so she speaks. Don't forget to. Maybe it would be better if you. She calls it support. She calls it partnership. She might even call it love. But in the somatic language of the masculine, it has another name. It is encroachment. It is the slow, steady erosion of his borders. It is the maternal gaze, the eye that monitors, that corrects, that ensures the child is wearing a coat because she feels cold. But he's not a child. And when you treat a man like a child, you shouldn't be surprised when he stops acting like a man. This is the great paradox of the modern home. We want a partner who is powerful, decisive, and grounded, a man who can hold us when the world falls apart. But in the daily grind of domesticity, we castrate that power with 1,000 tiny paper cuts of helpful criticism. We monitor his health, we manage his social life, We curate his personality until it fits the aesthetic of our shared life. We turn him into an extension of our own ego. And then we wonder where the passion went. We complain to our friends, he's so passive, he doesn't take initiative, I have to do everything. But look at the choreography. If you occupy all the space, where is he supposed to stand? If you hold the remote control to his entire existence, why are you angry that he has stopped moving on his own? The erotic requires otherness. It requires two distinct sovereign beings who look at each other across a gap of mystery. But the domestic manager hates mystery. Mystery is inefficient. Mystery is messy. Mystery is unreliable. So she closes the gap. She merges. She colonizes his schedule and his thoughts until there is no him left to desire. You cannot lust after something that is merely a limb of your own body. You cannot be seduced by a person you are currently parenting. The tragedy is that she thinks she's making the relationship better. She thinks she is improving the quality of their life. She is building a sanctuary of order, but passion does not live in order. Passion lives in the cracks. Passion lives in the friction. When a woman mother manages her partner, she is trading her erotic power for executive power. She wins the argument about the laundry, but she loses the lover in the bed. He feels it. He feels the weight of her expectation. He feels the maternal eye judging his every move, and so he does the only thing a man can do when he's being colonized. He retreats. He doesn't fight back, that would be aggressive. He doesn't leave, he loves her, so he goes into a psychological basement. He becomes silent, he becomes forgetful, he loses his drive. He shuts down the very parts of himself, his fire, his spontaneity, his aggression that she originally found so attractive. He becomes safe, and safe is the death knell of the erotic. She has destroyed the one thing he needed, the sense that he is an effective, respected, autonomous man in her eyes. Not a student, not a patient, not a work in progress. She has traded a king for a consort. The dance becomes a loop. She manages because she feels he is passive. He becomes passive because she is managing. Round and round they go in a sanctuary that has become a tomb. They are fine. They are stable. They are dead inside. The domestic choreography is a tragedy of good intentions. It is the belief that by making him better, you are making him more yours. But the more you fix him, the less you want him. And the more you manage him, the less he can see you as a woman to be pursued. He sees a supervisor. He sees a critic. He sees a mirror of his own perceived failures. Is it any wonder he turns his gaze elsewhere? Not necessarily to another woman, but to his work, to his hobbies, to his phone, to any space where he can still feel like a sovereign being, to any space where he isn't being helped into non-existence. The conflict isn't about the chores, it isn't about the schedule. The conflict is between the safety of control and the aliveness of freedom. And most women, without realizing it, choose control every single time. There is a seductive lie we tell ourselves in modern love. We say, I want to be everything to him. I want him to need me for his comfort, for his direction, for his very survival. We think that if we are indispensable, we are safe. If he needs us to find his keys, if he needs us to manage his calendar, if he needs us to emotionalize his world, then he can never leave. We become the air he breathes. We become the architecture of his life. But there is a cold, hard truth we must face. To be needed is a functional role. To be wanted is an erotic choice. When you make yourself needed, you are becoming a utility. You are the electricity. You are the plumbing. You are the Wi-Fi. People do not lust after the Wi-Fi. They only notice it when it breaks. And for the man to be needed in this way, to be managed, to be steered, to be saved from his own perceived incompetence is a slow motion emasculation. A man does not want to be your missing piece. He does not want to be the gap you fill. He wants to be a force of nature that you choose to stand next to. He needs to feel that he is a sovereign agent, that his presence in your life is an act of will, not a result of your superior management. But look at what happens in the domestic trap. We trade longing for belonging. Longing requires a distance. It requires the other. It requires the realization that your partner is a separate person with a life, a mind, and a wildness that does not belong to you. It is the thrill of knowing that he could go, but he stays. But we are afraid of that could, so we close the distance. We weave our lives so tightly together that there is no room for the wind to blow between us. We turn him into a belonging, an object, a piece of the household inventory, and the moment a man feels like an object, even a beloved object, the fire in him begins to dim. Why? Because the masculine soul thrives on impact. A man needs to feel that he has an effect on you, that his strength, his wit, his presence, his sexuality moves you, that he can shift your world. But when you are his manager, when you are his critic, when you are correcting his impact before it even lands, he loses the sense that he matters as a man. He matters as a co-parent. He matters as a provider. He matters as a roommate. But does he matter as a lover? When was the last time you looked at him, not for what he could do for the house, not for how he helped with the kids, but for the sheer terrifying fact of his existence? When was the last time you allowed him to be unneeded? The destroyer within the feminine doesn't use a hammer. She uses care. She smothers the fire with a wet blanket of maternal concern. She asks, "Are you okay? Are you tired? Did you eat? Do you want me to do that for you?" It sounds like love. But to him it sounds like, "I don't trust your competence. I don't see your strength. I see a project that needs my intervention." And so he stops trying to be strong. He stops trying to be the hunter. Why hunt when the meal is already pre-chewed and served with a side of advice? He retreats into a passive safety. He becomes the good boy, the reliable partner, the one who does exactly what he's told and feels absolutely nothing. This is the hidden betrayal. We ask for a partner, but we treat him like a subordinate. We ask for passion, but we create an environment of compliance. We have destroyed his sovereignty to the one thing he needs to feel alive. We think we are protecting the relationship. We think we are making it durable. But a relationship that is only durable is a prison. A relationship that is alive is one where two people are constantly rediscovering each other. He doesn't want to be your project. He doesn't want to be better. He wants to be desired. And you cannot desire what you have already conquered. You cannot desire what you are currently parenting. To find him again, you must let go of the need to be needed. You must risk the terrifying possibility that he is a separate, powerful, and potentially dangerous being. You must move from the maternal gaze to the erotic gaze. Are you brave enough to stop being his everything so that you can finally be his someone? Are you brave enough to let him be the man he is rather than the man you think he should be? Because the man he should be is a ghost. But the man he is right there, waiting to be seen, waiting to be wanted, waiting for you to stop helping him into an early grave. To save the fire, you must first stop trying to control the oxygen. We have been taught that intimacy is closeness. We have been told that the goal of a relationship is to eliminate the distance between two people, to know every thought, to share every password, to anticipate every move. We think that by closing the gap we are safe. But distance is not the enemy of love. Distance is the fuel of desire. If you want to stop destroying the one thing he needs, you must learn a new way of seeing. You must move from monitoring to witnessing. Monitoring is an act of surveillance. It is the maternal eye checking to see if he's doing it right. It is the critical spirit that says, "Why are you doing it that way?" It is the voice that helps him into a state of paralysis. When you monitor him, you're shrinking him. You're making him small enough to fit into your palm. Witnessing, however, witnessing is an act of awe. To witness a man is to acknowledge that he is a separate sovereign creature. It is to look at him and realize, I do not own him. I do not fully know him. He is a mystery that I am privileged to observe. When you witness him, you allow him to be other. You allow him to have his own rhythm, his own mistakes, and his own silence. You give him back his sovereignty. This is the shift. It is the moment you decide that aliveness is more important than safety. It means you stop being the instruction manual for his life. You stop being the safety net that catches him before he even falls. You let him feel the ground. You let him feel the consequences of his own choices. You give him back the dignity of his own struggle. Because a man who is not allowed to struggle is a man who is not allowed to grow. And a man who is not allowed to grow will eventually resent the person who keeps him safe in a golden cage. How do we do this? How do we reintroduce the otherness that passion requires? We must practice the art of the stranger. Think back to the beginning, before you knew his laundry habits, before you knew his credit score, before you knew exactly how he would react to a bad day. Back then he was a him. He was a person of interest. He was a landscape you wanted to explore, not a property you had already developed. You must find that stranger again. You must look at him when he is in his element, when he is working, when he is with his friends, when he is lost in a hobby that has nothing to do with you. You must see him when he is not looking at you, Because when he is looking at you, he is trying to be the partner. He is trying to meet your expectations. He is performing. But when he is absorbed in his own world, he is himself. That is the man you fell in love with, the man who was separate, the man who was wild. The shift requires a terrifying letting go. You must stop being the chief operating officer of the relationship. You must allow for inefficiency. You must allow for the wrong way of doing things. You must allow for the silence that you usually fill with check-ins. You must trade your executive power for erotic presence. Instead of asking, "Did you do the thing I asked?" which is the language of a supervisor, try asking, "What is on your mind that I don't know about?" Instead of improving his appearance, try noticing his presence. When you stop managing him, something miraculous happens. The space between you opens up again, and in that space desire can breathe. He feels the shift. He feels the maternal eye closing and the lover's eye opening. He feels that he's no longer being handled. He feels that he's being watched with curiosity rather than judged with expectation. And a man who is watched with curiosity begins to move differently. He stands taller. He takes initiative. He becomes the hunted or the hunter again rather than just the help. He regains his fire because he finally has a room of his own psychologically, emotionally, and erotically. The betrayal ends when you stop trying to make him a reflection of your needs and start allowing him to be a revelation of his own soul. Are you willing to be surprised by him again? Are you willing to realize that you don't know him as well as you think you do? Because the moment you know everything about him, you have killed him. But the moment you allow him to be a stranger, you have invited him to live. There is a sacred beauty in the unknown. We spend years trying to build a bridge of absolute intimacy, a bridge where every stone is a shared secret, every railing a common habit. We think that if we can just cross over into his mind completely, we will finally be one. But oneness is the death of desire. Desire requires two. It requires the gap. It requires the realization that the man sitting across from you at the breakfast table, the man whose socks you've washed, the man whose weaknesses you have catalogued with scientific precision, is actually a stranger. He has dreams you have never heard. He has fears he has never whispered. He has a fire in him that does not belong to your hearth. To stop destroying the thing he needs most, you must give him back his secrets. You must stop demanding that he be transparent. You must stop processing every silence until it is bled dry of its mystery. You must allow him to have a back garden, a place in his soul where you are not the gardener. When you give a man back his privacy, you give him back his dignity. When you stop knowing him, you give him the space to become. Watch what happens to the choreography now. When you pull back your maternal gaze, he has to find his own center of gravity. He has to decide who he is when he isn't being helped. He has to decide what he wants when he isn't being suggested into a choice. The weight of your expectation is gone, and in its place, curiosity. He looks at you and wonders, why did she stop managing me? Why is she looking at me like I'm a new discovery? Who is this woman who no longer needs to control me? And suddenly, you're a stranger to him too. The domestic trap is sprung. The air returns to the room. The rock becomes a living being again. You realize that the security you were chasing was actually a form of stagnation. And the danger, you were avoiding the danger of his autonomy, is actually the only thing that can keep the love alive. You see him now, not as a project, not as a provider, not as a roommate who forgot the milk. You see a man who is capable of leaving and therefore a man whose choice to stay is a miracle. A man who is capable of strength and therefore a man whose tenderness is a gift. A man who is other and therefore a man who can be wanted. We have unmasked the domestic colonizer. We have seen the maternal eye for the cage it is. We have traded the sanctuary of certainty for the aliveness of the unknown. It is a terrifying trade. It means you are no longer in control. It means the house might get messy. It means he might make a mistake that you could have prevented. But it also means that when he touches you, it isn't the touch of a consort or a project. It is the touch of a sovereign. It is the touch of a man who has been given back his soul. The betrayal is over. The dance has changed. You are no longer his manager. You are his witness. And he is no longer your everything. He is your guest. Treat him with the hospitality you would show a stranger. Give him the space to breathe. Give him the respect of his own silence. Give him back the one thing he needs most, the right to be himself without your help. Only then, when the cage is truly gone, will you find out if he is the man you always hoped he would be, or if he is something much, much better. We spend our lives trying to make our partners safe so that we can finally rest. But in the process, do we realize that we are creating a world where there is nothing left to wake us up? If you finally succeeded in making him exactly who you wanted him to be, would you still want him?